I went through care from about 6 till 12 and then 14 till 16. I went through about 8 different homes.
I was in kinship care, foster care and resi care from the age of 14 to 18. I felt very disconnected from all the adults in my life.
It's very confusing in terms of like how to access records. And originally I thought I had to file a Freedom of Information request. Yeah, I am looking at getting legal help to do it now because it's just a bit too much. So information was passed on to my mum that I don't feel like was necessarily hers. Things that were documented without context, and then she's like, oh, I know you because I have this document, and I'm like, you don't have the actual context, and especially because those notes are not anywhere near representative of my experiences of that time.
And a lot of the information on it was redacted, which I felt like wasn't fair because it is about me and I should have access to that information. I think I had a bit of an identity crisis where I was like, is anything I know about myself real? Like, am I remembering it wrong? When I left care as well, my parents got that document. So they kind of made like a profile for me and like they got my ethnicity wrong. And then they said I liked dogs, which I was terrified of. And I ended up living in a house with 2 greyhounds, which was nice eventually. But in the beginning, I was terrified.
I think I'd really love to see like a kind of consistent little like story of my life. Like it's a lot like having like the puzzle pieces, like as much as like we know it happened, but we can't figure out what the picture's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like ideally the documents would help us do that. If organizations started implementing the charter, there'd be consistency across the board. It would make it something that is practiced by requirement as opposed to people just wanting to do better, which ideally I'd love. But there's also the fact that organizational oversight needs to support those individual actions too. So the charter is a guide for improved practice on the creation of notes for young people currently in out-of-home care settings, and then also for the access of notes for both historical notes and notes to come.
There would be a lot more transparency, accessibility and accountability in terms of record keeping, where people would be given more of a clearer path when it comes to accessing those records, who wrote them, where they're kept and how accurate they are.
To have that collaborative process means that those notes are actually going to be complete, so that when children are growing up, like they're having those records from like now being built in a way that's helpful instead of just a compliance thing. I just think it's so important that we improve how we're documenting people's lives for them, and that those notes really are better than what they have been historically for children and young people who are entering and leaving the system today.
People just need to remember that, like, even though it is a job, like, you're a person and the other person is a person. And I think if more people actively reminded themselves, like, this is a child that will grow up and look at these one day, then you'll feel more of an importance to what you're doing, and it'll guide what you do a lot better as well. A child should be able to pick up their records and be like, this is me.